Well, this is the first crazy week of the summer for the most part. The kids are out of school. Amy spent most of the week in Ontario with Oliver playing baseball and Addie playing baseball. They went to Canada's Wonderland. Ava and I were loose here over in Ohio and racing at the meadows, going to the barn, going with the babies. You know, for the most part, the first part of June is kind of busy, and then there's this tiny little lull, and then July hits, and then it's complete chaos until Christmas. Almost. It almost feels like Christmas. But it's definitely chaotic throughout the summer, and it's just, we're trying our best to make plans for our family, to decide where we want to be and what we want to do. Ollie has Cooperstown 12th to 17th, is that right?
18th.
12th to 18th? 12th to 18th, which obviously impacts a number of stakes, but I'm hopeful that all will be resolved and there won't be any concerns as we head into that junket of the summer, that 6-day period of the summer. I'm excited about it, obviously. It's just one of those things that I've known now for the better part of a year. It's just something I do not want to miss. I enjoy watching him play baseball. I enjoy watching the games, and it's not something you can do next year or the year after. This is the only year. So I will be away from the 12th to the 18th, but lots of stuff going on. You know, I was so pleased. I said it in a video this morning, I guess late this morning. I just didn't know what to expect when we were watching Ontario, right? I was in many cases in the same boat as you. Heard from James, I conveyed that to you the way that it was conveyed to me, how the horses were going, how pleased they were with them. But to see it come to fruition today was exciting for me. And you know, we still have the 2 horses over there that still have to qualify. Sterling Volo is ready. Steady Volo is ready to go, and Sterling Hanover not too far behind him. Just got some work to do with Sterling Hanover, but I think the last 10 days off probably went just jogging, probably went a long way to getting him to where we need him to be. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, over the next few weeks into the month, I told you guys yesterday, very short list of horses that probably will need a little more time. Neuromancer was on that list. Sterling Hanover. Joe J. Foteg's knees were bothering her a little bit. I don't know how much that will impact her in the next little bit. But for the most part, we have 15 horses getting ready to qualify on Tuesday. The only horse that is on the list of potentially not being able to go is Degas. She had a temperature again now ever so slightly today. It was 102 yesterday and seemed fine, ate her supper, ate her breakfast. But then again today, 101.4. These are mild, these are mild temperatures, but they are what they are. And Eric, who goes with her all the time, said she was a little flat, a little drawn out. So there's a better than good chance that you're not going to see her make it to the meadows on Tuesday. But as of right now, I still think we have 14 or 15 horses that most definitely will. No concerns from the entirety of the rest of the horses, from the way it's been conveyed to me anyway, from Tim, from Jason, both Jasons, and all our riders and caretakers throughout the week. So excited for us. Our first big qualifying day is Tuesday. As I said, 14 or 15 are going to go postward. They'll go back again in Ontario next week. You'll see Steady Volo make his first qualifier, and then we'll just have the one horse left.
It might be Thursday, Friday, just saying.
Oh, it might be Thursday, Friday?
Well, because the NA Cup's Saturday.
Oh, you're right. No, they never do. You're right, 100%. It'll be Thursday, Friday next week. Amy's 100% correct. They never qualify on North American Cup Day, and that is Saturday. So the week we had, it's much like this weekend, right? The last 2-3 weeks, we've really been treated to a lot of horses that were in positions to execute and do well, and they did. This week, we were left with some of those horses. I know Grand Slam Deal was a big favorite and still a winner this week, which is always good. Melisandre ended up coming up a bit short, finishing 4th or 5th the other day. I thought when I snuck her out, she was probably going to be a closing second, but still, trotted in 56-3 and continues to get better. I should have taken the hobbles off her too. I've been threatening to, and I didn't the other day. I will the next time she does draw in where it makes sense to try it. We did something obviously with Chicago Hall last week, took the hobbles off him. He was trotting great right up until I think he just put a step in coming out of the turn and was used to the hobbles catching him, and they just weren't there, and he rolled up.
It was more like as soon as he was, I don't want to say he got anxious, but kind of, when horses come on the outside of him, he just kind of...
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a 3-year-old trotter that has worn hobbles his entire life, so it's not really entirely shocking that he made an error. Beautiful trotter without hobbles on also, and will be a free-legged trotter at some point, just not yet. Save America was tremendous. He made his trip to PEI this week. He's off to the island, going to race in the Governor's Plate, going to race in the Gold Cup and Saucer. There's another race in Truro. There's a number of decent races for him to race in. And then after Old Home Week at the end of the fall, there's also what's called, I could be wrong, but I think Smitty said it was called the President's Pace. And it goes for like 50 grand also. And it's more, I think, a point system throughout the summer. So I just thought with the money the way it was, the competition the way it was, it made a lot more sense to have him racing down there for right now, especially when our goal was to have him there in August anyway. Freedom Hill, race good again, just got beat at the wire in Northfield Park on Wednesday evening. She looked good. I thought she probably could have been a winner, but didn't come up very short at all. Just beat a head at the wire. Heading into Thursday, I didn't know what to think. Captain Incredible with the 8-hole, how would he be? He was at his knee a little bit more than I'd like to see the other day. I think we figured out exactly what it was. And as I said to everybody, there's just a super thin line for the vet, for the blacksmith, for Tim, for all the caretakers, especially his caretaker that is with him every day. He just has to be as close to 100% as we can have him. And that sounds easy. That sounds like, well, shouldn't we have every horse close to 100%? Yes. But here's the difference. You have a horse maybe with an old quarter crack that's bothering. Maybe the horse getting into his knee, training a little bit. There's a tiny bit of heat in his knee. There could be a number of things going on. But other horses that aren't like him, that aren't 3-year-olds, that aren't maybe a little immature, that don't get into their knees, that don't interfere a little bit, they can push through that stuff. I'm not really worried about that. It's a horse that Captain Incredible that is incredibly fast. And I see it, honey. And every time something happens, it takes away from his overall game. You saw it the other day. Now, you can say, well, it was because he was made nominals of 2. I would disagree. The other day, he just wasn't as powerful as he was the 2 weeks before. Now, he was off a week. Could it be that he wasn't tight? That's a possibility also. But again, doesn't account for him touching his knee the way he was the other day. He wasn't pounding it. But I do believe when he's at his knee at all, it's gonna make for a lackluster performance. And I guess that's a little too strong a word, because the horse did race good. Those are 2 decent horses that beat him, but I think it takes away from his overall game, and we just have to be able to understand that there's a number of more boxes that need checked for Captain Incredible to race very well than there is your average horse, and that's just because he's a fast, big, strong 3-year-old colt, and I think you're going to see a much better performance from him the next time he goes postward. What do we got next? The ones that surprised me the most. Did you watch Gorgeous Package and Foxy Seaside the other night?
No.
Foxy made a break late in the stretch. He was kind of wheeling her to the left, like
she did in the qualifier?
That motorbike right there is not in a good way. Looks like there's an accident here with a car and a motorbike.
Like she did in her qualifier?
Like she did in her qualifier, yeah. He tried to fish her to the left and chase her forward, and she just got out of gear and made a break. Hope everybody's okay here. I haven't seen the guy with the motorbike yet. Oh yeah, it's busted up pretty good. Oh, he's okay. That's him there in the black shirt, I think. Seems like he's okay.
What happened?
A car must have run into a motorbike. He's okay. So Foxy Seaside, she just made that break late in the stretch, and the young Hanners kid come off and said to Jason, really fast filly. I think she's going to take a very fast mark as a 3-year-old over this track. So I don't know if there's anything that concerning about her mile. Her mouth was a little tender because she wore that chain forever. Now they believe they can maybe start trying to take that stuff off of her, as we've done with many of the horses, which would result in a much more effective filly as long as she's open to the idea and not a little frigid. Gorgeous Package paced 151 flat, finished 4th, and I think, to be fair, it looked like Foxy Seaside was going to go by them. Her and the horse that finished 5th on the inside down the lane. To me, that's how it looked to me. So an impressive mile from her. And then you missed Aunt Lily also.
She won.
Yeah, she went at 54-1 and looked very good.
I didn't realize the other two were in.
Yeah, they ran just before her.
The Trotters. Was it just overnight?
Yeah, there was like some sort of an overnight race. Yeah, I wish they'd be able to fill a series, but they haven't. It's so frustrating because, you know, a horse like Aunt Lily, outside of that class, there's not a lot of places to race a horse like her, which is sad, really. But I think there needs to be, an understanding in Ohio that a lot of the classes, a lot of the horses, the breed itself is changing, and that needs to be evolved. We need to evolve with it and make sure that a horse like Aunt Lily and horses like Aunt Lily have places to race throughout the summer, and that would be, I think that's inevitable. It's a conversation and a dialogue that probably needs to happen sooner than later with the entire, group of stakeholders in Ohio, and us being one of them, quite frankly. And then, of course, we talked about Chicago Hall, made that little break, got out of gear and made a little break coming out of the last turn, but man, he certainly looked beautiful. Jody, he's 10-1. Did you see how he raced him? Mm-hmm. He was sitting fourth at 10-1 and moved at the court just before the half on the 6-5 favorite. It was a ballsy move. I liked it. I liked the move. And it was a smart move at the time, because what'll happen is you don't want to get that horse doubled up, right? And then make a break. And I think he probably thought once he cleared to the front, he was home free. It certainly looked like he was to me, but then lost him late in the stretch. So Chicago Hall looked good, but again, the hobbles will go back on him. We'll table that project for another time period. It just seemed to me that taking the hobbles off him would be the wise thing to do, just not right now. And then, of course, we moved into the next 3 days. Yesterday being a little bit flat, right? We had Woodmere Betcha, who get out of gear in Truro. I talked to Smitty quite a bit about that, and he was of the same belief as me. When you read what had happened, she was such a dominant winner in Truro. Then she goes over to Charlottetown. She trains in Charlottetown. She goes up to Summerside. The track isn't great. She makes a break coming out of the turn into the backstretch, which you rarely see a horse do. And the horses that do that either crossfire or have something bothering them, something sore. He told me she's not lame anywhere. The culprit to me, when you're starting to talk like that, would be her feet, right? That would be the first thing you would think at. Then she goes to Truro yesterday, and Smitty said again, hard to steer her, and made a break. Well, again, you're talking about a filly that's already taken a mark at 55, and now 2 weeks later on a harder track, it's hard to steer her, and she makes a break for the second week in a row without any obvious lameness at all. To me, that just screams feet. So I had said to Smitty, I think if you agree, if you think that's what it is, it would probably be worth it if we simply change her shoes, maybe put a set of flip-flops on her up front and work on her feet. And he said, well, I do work on her feet, but she does only have full swedges on. So I think you'll probably see a minor shoeing change going from a full swedge to a flip-flop with Woodmere Betcha, and then I'd be curious to see how she did shortly after that. And then yesterday, Looks Like Money. I know, I told everybody, I'm well aware that he got beat because I didn't come earlier with him down the backstretch yesterday, and I'll be the first to admit that. But you have to put yourself in my shoes in the race. Chapelier beat me fair and square the week before. I really didn't expect him to be out of soap the way he was. He still won the race, so I guess that's not fair to say. But had I moved him, I tried to get out first over in front of Jeremy enough, and Jeremy he wanted to come with his horse, and he's got the rail in a handicap trot. It's where the worst horse in the race would sit. So I was going to come. I tried to come out in front of him just to let him know, hey, I'm coming. You can follow me. And he didn't want any part of that. He left me in, and then I didn't. I had every chance to move in front of him before he moved. I just didn't want to move Looks Like Money first over halfway down the backstretch. I wanted to wait 4 or 5 more pylons until we got closer to the last turn. And had I got him out there, I just inhaled that horse in the last turn. And I for sure win the open trot yesterday. Instead, I ended up driving him very conservatively and ending up closing third with him. But the horse raced very good and looked really good. I hate when I go to do something with this stupid thing and it takes a picture. What thing, Lulu? Oh, the Super Cruise thingy. Yeah. It's thinking. Oh, it's on. It was on. It's on. Super Cruise is on. That's weird.
Did you set your speed?
Yeah. 8 miles slower than the speed limit right now. It's just traffic. And then Texan Soprano, Mark drove Texan Soprano last night and did a great job driving him. You know, got all he was going to get from post 8. I thought the horse raced well. And then now for the rest of the weekend, we have horses that can do. I'll amend my earlier statement and say the best shot we have over the next 48 hours is probably Rock Shining Star tonight at Scioto Downs with Tyler Angus driving. He's going to get a crack at Spitfire Overseas tomorrow. Neptune drew the 8 hole tomorrow, which is not good. We got a bunch of bad draws the next couple of days. But Arrowhead drew 2, short field, 6-horse field, and he's in with, it says to get off on Denison. That's weird. And then it says to go back. Did I miss a turn or something? No, it says 24 minutes. That's weird.
Wasn't it 24 minutes when we left the mall?
No, it was 28, but you might be right. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I was supposed to get off back there. Anyway, a number of horses racing this weekend, but I expect it'll be kind of a ho-hum weekend as we get set for our 2-year-olds qualifying and some of the major stake races coming up over the next week. Why didn't I just... I don't think I can. Right? I don't think I can. Anyway, that's what's taking place this weekend. As I said, I think I should start and finish with what has made me the most impressed this weekend, which is obviously our 2-year-olds. Thoroughly impressed with the way the Ontario horses have turned out. Proud of the staff and everybody else that had anything to do with these horses getting ready. So with that, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. I will talk to you all later on this week. Take care.